Hi, I am Malie, and welcome to the channel. Composition in an image or art is fundamental. It brings all the elements together and affects how the image is perceived. Take this image, for example. What if I told you this is not one prompt, but it's actually 4 extra prompts over the base prompt? I first defined the background. Then Little Red Riding Hood, along with the house, the sky, and lastly, the sun. Look at one more image. Here, I put a prompt for the background, landscape, the dragon, and the bird. I also use ControlNet to define the bird. Let me show you how to use area composition, multi-prompting, and ControlNet all together in ComfyUI. This is an advanced tutorial, and you require basic know-how for ComfyUI. If you are new and want to start with Comfy, you can check out the channel for other Comfy videos that cover the basics. All the PNG results and the JSON workflow files will be available in the YouTube members-only post. To start off, you will need the Comfy Manager and 2 custom nodes. In the previous Comfy videos, my colleague has already explained how to install the Comfy Manager via the command prompt. I will leave the link for that video in the description below. In the Comfy Manager, search for Visual Area Conditioning and install it. The tutorial also requires the Ultimate SD Upscale custom node. After installing both nodes, restart Comfy via the command prompt. Okay, so I will start by creating everything from scratch. It's better for understanding the workflow process. For the first workflow, I am using the Rev Animated Checkpoint. All the connections for the clip text and code will connect here instead of the checkpoint node. Multi-prompting requires you to have at least one base positive and negative prompt. These prompts are used for the overall theme or background of the image. Sometimes, you may require multiple sets of base prompts for multiple K-sampler pass-throughs. For the current workflow, I am going to use only one set. An advanced sampler is not needed for this workflow, so we'll be sticking to the basic one. Since this is a non-SDXL checkpoint, let the resolution remain at 512 only. Here, you can use VAE decode tiled as well. The tiled version is used for larger resolution generations. However, there is a clear-cut quality difference in colors and contrast when using VAE tiled. For SD 1.5, if you upscale higher than 2048, Comfy will give an error, and try it using VAE decode tiled. It is better to generate the images in 1024 and then upscale at 2x at a time using Ultimate Upscale. This is a simple prompt. Basically, I am looking for something like a Little Red Riding Hood walking by a house, surrounded by a forest. A simple workflow. Let's generate the prompt and work from there. The The main subject character, Red Riding Hood, is missing. Yes, I can improve it via prompting, but there is a better way. With area composition and multi-prompting, I will define each subject and object within the image and get complete control of the composition. I would be defining a separate prompt for the subject, the house, the sky, and the sun. For that, we need 4 extra clip text and code nodes. The base prompt should only contain the background or the theme. So, I am changing it to include a forest landscape, clear skies, and sunset. I will define the rest of the elements in 4 additional prompts. The Red Riding Hood in prompt 1. The wooden house in the second prompt. For the third prompt, I only want the sunset. Changing the sun's position within the composition would be very cool. And for the last prompt, I have defined the sky and the time of the day. Now, I will add a custom node from DaveMain42 called the multi-area conditioning. The multi-latent composite or the noise composition method is very different, and I will cover that in another video. In this node, always link your base prompt to conditioning 0. Only positive prompts are supposed to be connected to these conditioning inputs. I must add 3 more conditioning inputs since I have 4 extra prompts. To do that, right-click and select Insert Input below 0. Since this is the base, the width and height should be equal to the resolution generated from the first sampler. Switching the index will switch to conditioning 0, 1, 2, and so on. And I will define the resolution and the location of each prompt. For the little Red Riding Hood, I will keep the resolution the same but make it so that the subject appears on the right side of the image. I want the wooden house to appear on the left. Also, I am defining a taller area so the main subject appears proportionately. One thing I noticed while using area composition is that smaller subjects are a bit harder to place them accurately. A more general left, right, or center works better. For the sky, I am just going to define it within the top 1/3 part of the composition. The output from the multi-area conditioning should connect with the sampler's positive input. Let's generate and see what comes up. Huh? I got something red. Let me try and fix this. One way to do this is to increase the prompt strength in the multi-area conditioning node. Let's try 2 and see what happens. Perfect. However, the sun is not fine. Let's increase the prompt strength for the sun as well. Okay, this is way better, and I also like the house. It blends better. The overall image here, however, is lacking details. What I want to do now is pass this image through a second time via the sampler to try and add some details to it. For that, connect a latent upscale node to the first sampler. Double the resolution here. Now, connect the second sampler node. Only connect the base negative prompt to the second sampler. Don't connect the base positive prompt node. We need to create another positive node for the second sampler. The reason why we are creating another positive prompt node is because the text prompt for this node should be comprehensive. It must include all elements from the base prompt and the additional 4 prompts together. I broke up the original prompts into 5 prompts. When the generated image is repassed through the second sampler, a comprehensive prompt is required to guide the AI to construct and add details to the image. I have included the forest, sky, Red Riding Hood, the house, and the sunset in this prompt. What you put in this prompt will impact the final image. Keep it as close as possible to the combination of all the prompts for the first sampler. Connect this new node to the positive input in the K-sampler. The scheduler also makes a massive difference in the final image. Let's keep it at normal with a denoise value of 0.3. I am not satisfied with this image. It's pretty off. I want to try and see what results exponential gives.
Oof.
So this happens with Keras or exponential. Let's try increasing the denoising strength. Way better. Anything above a 0.44 denoising strength gives you sharper and better results. I can improve the image with another pass-through, but this time, I will use the Ultimate SD Upscale node. I will be using the foolhardy Ramakri upscaler for all the workflows in this tutorial. Similar to the second sampler, the base 2 positive and negative prompts should be connected to the upscaler. Also, it is to be noted that in each pass-through, the seed value is essential. A different seed will give you different results. It is advisable to randomize the seed at each pass-through, finalize it, and then move on to the second pass-through. At this stage, experiment with the denoise value. Start at 0.3 and move up. Too high may cause unwanted details in the image. Perfect and beautiful. Before I move on to a new example, I want to show you how you can rearrange the elements and get various results. I will now try and change the position of the subject and the house. It won't be the same image, but it will be something very different and creative. Doing this is very simple. First, I will select prompt 1 and move the subject to the left, then prompt 2 and move the house to the right. For now, I won't touch prompt 3 or 4. You can see I got a completely different composition using the same elements. Let me try one last thing. I will revert everything back to the original position and try to move only the sun. The original generated image has an artifact here. However, this is corrected during the second pass-through. And with the third pass-through using Ultimate Upscale, many details are added. You can further improve on this, but I wanted to show you what you can achieve via multi-prompting. I am using the graph of the previous workflow. Here, I will replace the sun in the third prompt with a volcano and try to blend it into the image. I will use ControlNet for the same. When making changes to a specific additional prompt, make sure that changes also reflect all the base prompts. Drag and connect the relevant prompt node to the Apply ControlNet node. Add a load image node and connect it with a preprocessor. In this case, I am using a Stable DIffusion 1.5 checkpoint. So, I would be using the Anime Line Edge preprocessor for the same. Remember that SDXL ControlNet nodes are different and work only with SDXL checkpoints. The preprocessor output will connect to the Apply ControlNet node input. Connect the base negative prompt to the Apply ControlNet negative input. Make sure the ControlNet model is the same as the preprocessor. The positive ControlNet output will connect to the multi-area conditioning input. There is no need to connect the negative input, since the same prompt is connected to the K-sampler. You can use multiple ControlNet with this area composition method. The workflow can be as complicated as you want. Comfy is really good with that. You think of something, and throw in nodes here and there to get the composition you want. This is an SDXL workflow, and I am using the Law Mysterious checkpoint. The principle is the same as the previous workflow. But I would be using a Canny Edge preprocessor. The image is also wide resolution. the resolution in the multi-area condition should be the same as the empty latent resolution. Otherwise, the results will be weird. I am also keeping the prompt strength value at 1. It's advisable to start with 1, see the results first, and then increase accordingly. I wanted a face-off between a magical bird and a dragon in a lush scenic environment. Having all the strengths values at 1 produces the environment and nothing else. In this case, I will only increase the strength value of the missing prompts. Nice. The ControlNet canny was only used for the bird as it was challenging to get the bird to face the dragon via prompting. This workflow is simple. I am deleting most of the nodes as it only requires 2 prompts. One is for the subject, which is a portrait photo. The other one is the main background. I am using the realistic vision checkpoint for this one. This is an AI-generated portrait photo, and we'll use the Midas Depth ControlNet model here. If you have extra conditioning inputs, you can right-click and remove all unconnected inputs. This time, I am using a separate negative prompt for the second sampler. It's not necessary to do so. Also, note that when you use multiple checkpoints, you can actually combine the negative prompts into one and then pass it to the sampler via the condition combine node. For the background, I have defined a nighttime Venice location and placed the subject on the right. Again, the subject doesn't show with a strength value of 1. This doesn't always happen, but it depends on the prompt, the checkpoint, and the dimensions chosen in the area composition node. In some cases, I had to increase the value up to 5 for the subject to be fully shown. Have a look at the circled area. Without a second sampler pass-through, the image blending is very bad. I found that passing through 2 samples is a must in most cases. Yeah, some of the images won't have this issue. Also, sometimes, passing it through a 3rd time is too much. For this image, I just used an image-to-image upscale via the Ultimate SD upscale node. Let's move the subject to the extreme left. Let me show you a problem you might face while using this tool. If I move the image to the center, see what happens. Now, this issue is not fixed with any strength value. The most straightforward fix is to change the seed. The AI is so confused here. It blended the forehead with the lights behind and made a crown in the second pass. Again, there is a blending issue, but it gets fixed in the second pass. So, there is no need to change the strength value or the seed. I hope this tutorial was helpful and you got to learn something new in Comfy. Until next time.